Coming up on this edition of Southwest TV News. Following the release of the Saskatchewan budget for the coming year, revenue sharing was a major benefactor of provincial funding, all to the tune of $265.3 million. April 19th will be a busy day for the Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation, as it hosts an antique and collectibles auction in Swift Current. And having had a chance to digest the details of the budget, the Chinook School Division is pleased with the overall outcome. Thanks for joining us here today. Saskatchewan municipalities are breathing a sigh of relief following last week's provincial budget. We have more in today's top story. The much-discussed revenue-sharing deal between the province and Saskatchewan municipalities has been in the spotlight for the past number of months, with mayors across the province hoping this crucial funding would not be cut in the provincial budget. Now, following the release of the Saskatchewan budget for the coming year, revenue sharing was a major benefactor of provincial funding, all to the tune of $265.3 million, an increase of $8.3 million from last year, or 3.2%. Welcome news for many municipalities here in the Southwest.
You know, they kept their promise, and plus they did give us the full 1% or the 1 point of the PST. You know, we thought maybe too they'd just hold it the same as last year because this is the first year we would receive the full 1% type thing, right? So it did. Like, you know, it was an extra $18,000 or something for us, but that all counts, right? You know, that's $500,000 or just a little under $500,000 worth of funding a year for Maple Creek.
Yeah, we were really pleased with the outcome of the budget in terms of funding for our municipalities and, you know, the fact that there was no tax increase.
Now, with the revenue sharing in place for another year from the province, both Maple Creek and Shaunavon can move forward with finalizing their own local budgets in the coming weeks, with plans to use these dollars for various infrastructure projects.
Well, you know, paving streets, water lines, water line repairs, some water line replacement, some of the older stuff, you know, like building up roads into the industrial subdivision. And, you know, there's lots of stuff on the list there. And then, you know, maintaining and upgrading the stuff that we do have, like our water plant.
And as far as the local economic forecast for the coming year, the town of Shaunavon remains positive, despite the current oil prices.
Crescent Point continues to drill. We're noticing, you know, less vehicles around our hotels and motels. I think that it's going to have an effect over the next few months simply because it is spring breakup, and typically that's the time that we see less activity around. However, we're hoping, you know, to make it through these times, and I'm optimistic that this we'll see, you know, the fourth quarter recovery.
The communities of Shaunavon and Maple Creek are located just over 60 minutes from Swift Current.
I played for the Swift Current Broncos for a short year and a half. It was unbelievable. I met new people that I became great friends with. Putting on a WHL jersey, semi-pro, it's pretty unbelievable just to make it to that goal. It was in practice. Just a whole bunch of pucks were scattered on the ice. One of my best buddies stepped on the puck. I was on the boards talking to a coach. He slipped, fell, took out the back of my legs, and I ended up falling back, hit my head. At first, I thought it just been a normal concussion. I was treated by many doctors. I was sent to Calgary many times to see neurologists. Couldn't really figure out, they just kept saying it's a timeline, a waiting game. It's been ongoing for 4 years now, I believe. Still have the symptoms, headaches. Dizziness has gone away in the past few months, but biggest thing is my headaches, about 4 years now. Well, at this point, right now, I am in training to be a personal trainer, which I'm very happy to be, making people's lives healthier, fitter, and better. In addition, I became a businessman for health and wellness product called Kyani, which also ties into my personal training because it is a wealth product that will also make you healthier and even feel more energetic. And I personally myself am a user, feel active, I feel more energetic than I ever have. I've used it to finishing my course, to going to the gym, to just going for walks. I feel motivated to do anything. It's just basically made me a more happy person.
The province of Saskatchewan continues to keep education at the top end of the funding scale, bringing a smile to the face of many school divisions. It's been a few days now since the 2015-16 provincial budget was announced at the Saskatchewan legislature. And having had a chance to digest the details of the budget, the Chinook School Division is pleased with the overall outcome. Liam Chufu is the Director of Education and says overall the Southwest is happy with the overall funding increase of 2.9% for operating funds for the education sector.
In general, the increases we have received will essentially cover all of the costs with the newly signed teacher agreement. So there's 2 years of retroactive pay in that agreement, as well as the upcoming increase for salaries in the 15-16 year. So that'll consume essentially all the increases we have. There will still be inflationary pressures that will come to bear that we will have to find a way around. I guess if there was one disappointment, it's probably around the renewal of the bus fleet, where capital purchases for buses is again going to fall short. So, we'll have to find a way to address that internally, and we will.
Chufu adds that as Chinook's finance department has yet to crunch the exact dollar value allotted from the province for the coming year, it won't really change any of their overall plans.
No, we were really careful about some of those plans we put together, and we knew that they would be based upon the news we got on Wednesday, budget day. So all those plans will now be able to go forward with this budget. We have what we would say is probably an 80% confidence rate as the numbers. We have identified a couple areas where we think that maybe the ministry just didn't have some information about Chinook that will have an effect on the final grant that we get. And also there's still, we're basing a lot of our final grant on projections. We won't know the official enrollments until September 30th. And so there's always a period of adjustment once the September 30th numbers come in.
In the coming months, the Chinook School Division will continue on its path of keeping math and literacy at the cornerstones of education through its balanced literacy and math momentum programming, benefiting the success of students across the Southwest.
Hopefully that as we hear the stories and see the stories of how people are giving for good, how people are affecting positive change, we'll be able to then reflect on our own lives and see indeed what can we do to give for good. And even more than that, what are we doing to give for good? What are we doing to affect change? And as we notice that in our lives, I think we will find that we are our own inspiration to even give more for good, to affect more change. And as we see what people are doing, I mean, many times it'll be, hey, that's something that, I saw somebody doing just that. Or you know what? Something similar to that happened in my life. You know what they did for that person, somebody did for me so long ago, and that's inspired me to do this, and the next thing. So I think the Give for Good thing, the inspiration behind it and the motivation for each of us to actually take a look at ourselves, see what we are doing for good, and to draw inspiration from that to give for good even further, I think that's a whole big part of it.
Do you have any antiques collecting dust around your home? Well, the Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation wants to hear from you for an upcoming fundraiser. April 19th will be a busy day for the Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation as it hosts an antique and collectibles auction in Swift Current. Over the past several weeks, a number of items have started to trickle in through the doors of the foundation office, and more items are still needed for auction day.
We've got quite a variety of things now, but antiques, collectibles, anything that people think that would help us out in our fundraising activities. We did have someone offer us an antique piano that we said no to. Not that we didn't think it was a good item, and we certainly appreciated the offer, but it was just moving it and so on. But just about anything that people think that might sell at auction.
Thompson says the funds raised at the antique auction will kick off a major fundraising campaign by the foundation, with all proceeds going towards furnishings of the new Swift Current long-term care facility.
Equipment goal for the new facility is upwards to the tune of $8.5 or $10 million, and so certainly a portion of that is going to be our responsibility to gather. And so while we haven't set a goal on our campaign, it's going to be some portion of that $8.5 to $10 million. It's 22 individual houses, so 22 individual fridges and stoves and washers and dryers and dishwashers and so on. Now, not the big commercial grade stuff, but we still need 22 of them. Similarly, there's 225 beds versus 197, so there's a bunch of new beds required, and I think properly so, the Health Region would like to start with 225 new ones.
Anyone interested in making a donation of antiques are asked to call the Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation. The Dr. Noble Irwin Regional Healthcare Foundation is into its 16th year of helping to enhance the quality of healthcare for the residents of Southwest Saskatchewan. Well, this brings to a close another episode of Southwest TV News, reporting the stories that matter to you. We always welcome your news tips. You can always reach us here by phone at our studio or by email to contact us at southwesttvnews.com. Also, be sure to join us daily online for the latest news from across Southwest Saskatchewan and so much more at MyLocalTV.ca. And be sure to follow us on a range of social media. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm Carol Andrews.